Hello, hello. A very good day, good evening, good afternoon. I hope you're all doing very well, and welcome to another live stream with me, 320 Sim Pilot. Today we are jumping back into, of course, the wonderful FlyJSim Q4XP Dash 8 Q400 aircraft for a relatively short flight from Key West up to Orlando. So that's another American sector, which will hopefully be ticked off at the end of today. And sorry, we're running slightly behind schedule, but we had a bit of a mess getting set up today. Thanks for hosting us, Fulco. Yeah, it's a slight issue with the update. We'll talk about that later. But we are here. As far as I can tell, everything is up and running, which is great news. And we've got some relatively mild weather, sort of tropical weather, not too sunny, but yeah, hopping into this lovely airplane. It's amazing. We haven't flown it for a few weeks now, and as soon as I loaded it up, I sort of couldn't resist taking it for another spin. So there you go. It's just looking glorious. So we're here on the apron. We've got Orbex scenery for most of the flight. So this is Orbex Key West. Thank you to Orbex for sending it over. We've also got Orbex's Florida HD scenery. So should be a pretty nice flight. Seemed like a good flight to use all that stuff on as well, seeing as we've got a bit of a slower airplane today. Only marginally though. It's not. Yeah, we all know it's not that different from a jet really, but there we go. So jumping into YouTube chat, thank you so much. Jigpoint, good to see you. Jet Fighter as well, and Ollie Nut, I hope you're all doing very well. Benjamin as well, good morning to you. Victor Tango, thanks for coming along with 8455 to moderate, really appreciate it. And Andy H1302, good to see you as well. I hope you're doing very well. Yeah, the livery is something special, eh? It's really nice. This is available on the FlyJSim website, and they've got two Frontier liveries. The other one has a slightly different animal on the tail, but this was Lynx Aviation. This carrier wasn't actually Frontier Airlines itself. It doesn't operate the Q400s anymore, I believe, but they operated them on behalf. So we're going to cheat. We're going to use the Frontier flight call sign because I quite like that call sign. But yeah, this would, I think, had a totally different call sign in the when these were operated. But there we go. And according to AC445, this one's up now in Canada. So there you go. Things have moved on. Oh no, don't close the door. We're going to keep that door open. Yes. So lots of nice details on this airplane as ever. The livery is really pretty. I do like it. This sort of pine green looks really nice, and yeah, this is just such a good add-on. Really good. A couple of things though, I did have trouble updating it, so I need to sort out a couple of controls potentially, so I do apologize for that. Danjay Suresh, good to see you. I hope you're doing well. Alex Van der Pas, good to see you again, of course. Mark S, Ryan NL, thanks for joining us. Lauren V, thanks for coming to moderate as well. Wired Womble, good to see you. Mark C, was Q400 in Frontier in the past? It was indeed, but let's say it's part of links. Chanix311, good to see you. Yaroslav, good to have you here, and Henrik as well. Yaroslav says, been really busy lately, finally catching one of your streams. Thanks for joining us. Brian, good morning or afternoon indeed to you. We are also live on Twitch, your choice of platform entirely. Good to see you on Twitch, Mr. Banana. Tickle, we've also got Lauren V over there along with Chickpoint, so thanks for that. And Sean Mick says, howdy to you, Sean, thanks for joining us. Simon as well, good evening to you. Right, let me merge the chats in my sort of matrix head office here. And let's see if that's going to work. Hopefully it does. Yeah, so we're going to climb up to a pretty low cruise of 23,000 feet. About 55 minutes when we get in the air. Plane is cold and dark, though, so we need to get it set up for that flight. Take our 60-odd passengers northbound. We do have the route available. If you put exclamation mark route into the chat, let me just see. Cloudbot should be awake. There's no guarantees, but should be. So there we go. Jay Brown, good to see you as well. Thanks for joining us. Yeah, so Ollie Nut's going to fly along in the A320. Ollie, is that you over there in the American? That could be you. I think that's just the only one. Just advise you need to change the stream title. Right, so this is a recurring theme. I don't know what's going on. I keep having to do this where it starts with the wrong title. And I've changed the title before the stream, both on Twitch and through the Streamlabs software. So apologies for that. But yeah, let's change that. Problem is it saves the replay on Twitch with the wrong title. So all my replays on Twitch have got the wrong name, so you'll think you're getting a Twin Otter and you get 747. But there we go. I am going to take us for another walk around of this airplane. So yeah, one of the pilots goes on board and we are going to just stroll around. Look at that. So operated by Lynx Aviation, which makes sense. Q400, not the next gen. I don't think I ever flew a next gen airplane. Now someone told me these do open, but I have not been able to make them do it. They are just containing, back here you've got some circuit breakers and the batteries and so on. Batteries on this airplane are a continuous nuisance because they could overheat very easily because they took a lot of the load because we could start the engines using those batteries. So very useful, but yeah, they did suffer a little bit. Again, I can't get over the visual model on this. It's really good. We've got the headset jack. Or is that the headset jack? No, that's the external power. I think that's the headset jack. Then the nose gear ground lock, ice detector, fancy equipment. And look at the detail on that nose gear. It's just amazing. It has been known these airplanes have wheelbarrowed in, where you land on a nose wheel, which is easy to do in a Dash 8 because it sits, you'll see, slightly nose down. Unlike most aircraft, the Airbus over there will be ever so slightly nose up, or at least level. But this sits nose down, and then it's possible to land on that nose gear, compress it, and damage some of this stuff. So that's a common thing to need to check on a walk around. But there we go. What is that? Don't know what I'm changing with there. Probably something in the cockpit, because I think all the buttons work. Yeah, they do. Yeah, absolutely lovely. Hold 5. I think it was called Hold 5. Not really used for anything except storage. This was considered not a part of the cabin, so you can see it's completely sealed off, but they would store prop ties and things like that in there, but yeah, not accessible during the flight. And then we've got the emergency exit. Does this open? Don't know if that opens. I won't try in case it doesn't close up again. I think somewhere here you used to get a leaking sort of water, potable water sink drain down there. Yeah, it's great stuff. And those beautiful propellers. Sorry, I'm just reliving my time now. Every time I go on the Q400, this is what I enjoy doing. It's great, that matte effect on the propellers, and then the slightly shiny metal ridge on the tip. Doesn't need ice protection out here because it spins so fast the ice just wouldn't be able to grip on anyway. Is the theory anyway. Thanks for the follow, and thanks for the host, Abidis and Zagosh and Jay Brown. Richard B, good to see you. Thanks for coming along to moderate as well. Caleb, good to have you here as well. Thanks for that. Uch Tango said, I'm glad you're back on the Dash 8. I just bought it and need to get used to it as it is a very different beast. It is indeed, but yeah, this is, you know, sometimes we get add-ons in simulators that you don't need to even like the aeroplane to enjoy them because they're just so well made. And this one, I already like the aeroplane, but it's that sort of level where it's just so good. And again, the visual model seems to leap into a different generation. I don't know how they've done it. Look at that. That is exactly what paint on these airplanes looks like. That's just the right texture. It's sort of this slightly I don't know, mottled. I don't know what the name is, but they're not perfectly smooth usually. And older airplanes in particular start to get that effect on them. It's just, they've got it. They've just sorted it out. Oh, no, don't want to do that. It's excellent. Thanks for all those follows and hosts. Really appreciate it. But yeah, really like it. Lauren B says, some newer Q400s, that area is removed to add 2 extra pairs of seats. Oh, there you go. Would make sense. Yeah, probably the next gen thing. Adding more seats is the theme of the modernization of airliners, really. There is have they added it yet? So I tried to update to version, I believe there's a version 1.5, but I'm on 1.4. Now, can anyone with this aircraft confirm which version they're on? Because I have had a bit of trouble with the update and I had to revert. I think I had to revert anyway, but I'm not sure, where I couldn't get things to move. But yeah, there we go. Thanks so much, DGH782001, for the very kind $6.78 tip. Really appreciate it. DGH says, thank you for the instructional videos. You are very welcome. And thanks so much for coming along and supporting the channel. Really appreciate it. And I'm glad you like the videos. It's always nice to hear. But yeah, thanks for joining us today. And thanks for that very kind tip. Pickle says, I wish there was a Dash 8 from Microsoft Flight Simulator. This plane is so... I assume that means hot, but yeah, it is excellent. It's great. You could get a leak out of this hub, so oil would come out of these joints around here. That would be pretty much a no-go. This, I believe, is for the IDG cooling, or the drive generator. I think that's what that was, but don't quote me on that. That could be a misinterpretation. This inlet here takes the air in, and it feeds up into the engine. So the fan is sort of at the back and up. So it's up there. So you could see it on the walk arounds because you're sort of looking in at an angle. But yeah, so the fan blade's up there. So any ice that would build up in the intake, you'd open these little doors here and it will hopefully get dropped out the back if required. Thank you again, DJH, for that very kind tip. Good, right. Anyway, I'm just digressing. We've got plenty of time today, so you're probably keen to see me actually turn it on and get going. But there we go. All looking very shipshape and fine. Quite happy with that. Oh, so good. Yeah, we are being treated at the moment, no doubt about it. Always like to walk around the tail of the Q400. Very noisy APU. It's quite low, hence it has to because the airplane sits so low on the ground, it points up out the way, because if it was pointing straight, it could start interfering, whereas taller aircraft like the Airbus, it just points straight up the back. But I liked walking around the tail. I like the scale of it. You felt like a big airplane when you went past the tail, certainly. Didn't feel big when you parked it next to an Airbus, though, because if there's a 320 sitting here, the wing of the 320 would sit about the same height as the wing of the Dash 8, even though this is a high-wing airplane, so that always made it feel a bit small. Right. This, by the way, is the ram air inlet. So if you needed ventilation and you didn't have air coming from the engines, so we couldn't use the bleed air for whatever reason, you could open up the ram air and it would flow from this inlet through the airplane, and then it would actually go back to front and then vent out the front of the airplane whilst it flew forward. Quite a strange system, but there you go. Nonetheless, a system it had. Very slippery. Don't tread on if you ever fly on a Q400, don't tread on this bit. Tread on straight onto the step. This is slippery. It does say no step, I think, on the real aircraft. Yeah, not for walking on, but you get de-icing fluid and things are stuck on these stairs. You're going to be very careful, and that's just sort of flat metal. And in we go. Oh yeah, the toilet. We all know about the toilet. Right, let's get jumping in the seat. Okay, here we go. Enough of that. Digressing. Phil, good to see you. Thanks for joining us. Andy says, Innie builds, Toliss, and this Q400 have really raised the bar for add-on quality in the last year. Yeah, they're very good. They are very good. Right, let's go through it. Yeah, Ollie Nutt's going to have trouble with the A320 in performance because it's quite a small airport for this. The Flying Scotsman, good to see you. I'm doing well. I hope you're doing well as well. Adam Cooper, good afternoon to you. Adam says, enjoy the way you get excited about it as well. Feels like a blast from the past. Yeah, it is. It's great. So yeah, we're on version 1.14. That's it. And I thought there was a later version, but I don't know what I've done. Anyway, let us adjust the loading. So I need to have about 62 passengers, I think. So let's ramp that up, which should give us a zero fuel weight of around about 24 and a bit. There we go. So we have a bit more cargo to load in. 66 passengers. That's all looking good. So that's load summary, but we're short on fuel. So let's add the fuel in. Thank you very much, Andy Robinson, for the $10 super chat. Really appreciate it, Andy. Andy says, a classic Sunday stream and back in the USA. Thanks for the streams, as always. You're very welcome, Andy. And I really appreciate it. It's very, very generous. And yeah, this is Sunday streams. For those of you who don't know, I'm sure most of you do, but if anyone's slightly more recent to the channel, we used to stream every Sunday, especially during all the lockdowns when I wasn't really working. With work returning a bit more now, I've been free less often on Sundays, so that's changed. However, work this month has been a bit more quiet, so it's been interesting. But anyway, it does mean that we get to do a Sunday afternoon stream. So yeah, thank you very much for the tip, Andy. Really appreciate it. Right, anyway, I'm not really too worried about this. 30 minutes reserve, 10 minutes taxi is fine. Route distance, I suppose we can do it properly. Let's see how close this matches our Avitab chart. So this is a ground distance of 265 miles, not far at all. Can I just type it in? Nope, you can absolutely not do that. Oh, yes, you can. There we go. 265 miles. Landing with 156 kilograms is not enough. 10 minutes taxi. Time en route 1 hour. So this reckons we need 3 tons of fuel. This, for some reason, has given us 2.3 tons of fuel, which is not enough. So I'm just going to increase this to 700. What is going on here? What am I looking at? I'm getting confused now. How do I just increase the fuel? Must be on here. There it is. It's my fault. Right, we need 3 tons. Let's go with 3.3. That's better. We got the right fuel. We got the 0 fuel weight of... Or taking off at 27, landing at 25. Now, that seems heavy for a landing weight. What landing weight do they have? 26,215. See, that seems heavier than the landing weights I remember. I'm pretty sure that was over. But it will depend. Every airline will pay for a different sort of landing weight. So I'm actually going to remove some of the cargo. Just get the landing weight. You'd never have that much in the forward hold anyway, actually. So there we go. Right, let's have a look at that. Well, minor difference. But let's confirm that. And don't know GPU. Board using both doors. Cool pushback once loaded. Yeah. We don't need the pushback, actually. How do I get rid of that? There we go. Fuel before loading passengers. Yes. Start loading, please. Good. Let me know how the audio is. Hopefully you can hear the desktop, although there isn't much going on at the moment. Phil Norbert, good to see you, PTM107. I hope you're doing well. Thanks for joining us on Twitch. Mike Ricky says, afternoon, anyone else seeing an issue with FS 2020 with live weather? Oh, there we go. No, I've not tried that one today, I'm afraid. Abilities Kittius, good to see you. Thanks again, Andy, for that very kind donation. Right, there we go. So that's the loading done. Next will be the checklist, but as we know, this doesn't actually work for turning on the airplane. So I think that's all done. Packs holding for fuel, bags holding for fuel, power up APU. Yeah, we'll do all that. We'll do all that. So we could do a battery start. I wonder if we should do a battery start. If we do, the trick to a battery start in the Dash 8 is you need to wait until obviously the last minute to board the passengers, because you need to start the engines straight away. So we can't be hanging around for that. So no, we won't do that. Not today. I'll have to have a think. Anyway, we'll power on the batteries. Main bus ties to tie. Generators are online. Ice protection's all off. Pitot heat's off for now. Windshields are off. I'll turn those on later. Landing lights are off. Let's put on the logo and position lights. Flight data recorder normal. Altimeter units normal. And we'll go overheads. Do some fire testing. Sounds like a GPU's arrived. Good, that's all working. Get some of these lights on so you guys can see things. We won't start the APU. So where's the ground power unit? This is pushing my knowledge. It must be on the DC. External power, there it is. Is that working? Let's have a look. Let's turn on some screens. So yeah, this airplane, it's totally believable to sit here without anything. It's great, really. It gives it a lot of operational flexibility. Let me know if you can hear any of those beeps. How are those beeps and bongs? Did they work for you guys? Hopefully. Then we're going to turn on the ArcDo's. We'll put them to both so you can tune both sides. Won't bother with FMS. Don't remember ever bothering with that on such short flights. And we're going to go system. No, we go system, doors. No, system, doors, system. And then we get doors on that side, electrics on this side, and there's no external power. You can see the batteries are draining. So let me go back to this. Connect GPU. And there we go. That's your only message. You get DC external power on, and then you see the batteries are there. Audio on YouTube seems to be better for me. Ah, interesting. Huh. Okay. I'll turn it up for you guys again. Any sound? Can you hear the GPU outside, sort of revving away? Yeah, so you just get that message up there, and you can see that you don't get any sort of picture or diagram like in the Airbus. Let's turn on the universals of the box. Good. Okay, so overhead panel. We're going to sit with the ground power for a bit, save the noise. Sound is fine as Mark. Excellent, thank you. We've got normal for the engine starts. Again, I'm convinced they should be an off for the overnight, but anyway, there we go. This needs to be an auto, crucially, and the forward outflow valve closed. So when I mentioned earlier that ram air you can open up to let it in the back, you need the forward outflow valve shut, because of course that is going to be needed to pressurize. But if you opened that, it would draw air through, and you've got another outflow valve control down here, forward outflow valve, so you could open it using that as well if you needed to. Got crew oxygen, which is good. And put the anti-skid to on. Let's do the test. Don't really need that right now. Oop, goodbye. There we go. Test that. There we go. We get the inboard and outboard anti-skid lights up on the overheads. And then leave it on. Right, back to where we were. Oh, there's our GPU. We are on VATSIM, so you are, of course, all welcome to fly along should you choose to. Then we can do our takeoff warn test. Oh, no, thanks. And then we'll do the ADC test 1. There it is. All the set series of numbers you're supposed to read off. I mean, I don't understand what it could do wrong. I suppose it could just not show you the right numbers. I don't really know. But yeah, it's something we had to do. Not something you have to do on an Airbus. John says, you seem to love X-Plane. Do you prefer it to Microsoft Flight Simulator? I did a stream in I did two or three streams in a row in Microsoft Flight Simulator. Now I've done probably a couple in X-Plane. It just depends what airplane we're flying, really. I'm chasing the airplanes more than the simulator. That's the number 2. It'd be good one day we'll get an animation of that. Still one number 1.
Terrain.
Not sure I'll get in that. Good. Still one is working. What else would we do? I'm sure there's something else we had to do. That should be in taxi, otherwise the spoilers will come up when we start the engines. Then we can do the GPWS test. There we go.
Hold up.
And we can do, we would run the trimmers, but there's no way I'm going to do that. Right, where is the TCAS test? That's annoying. I know there is a way. Somewhere in this menu, somewhere on this was the TCAS test. But I may have to give up. It may not be modelled, but it's probably, I'm just doing the wrong thing. There we go, expanded. Right, and then you can set the TCAS to show above and below, which you'll be recognising from the Airbus. And then test. And it should say TCAS system test. Okay. Might not be modelled. Pretty sure that's what you had to do, but I might be wrong. It's been a while. Anyway, and we're leaving TAR8, obviously. Good. Oh well, success. We found something. Always nice. Right, let's think. What else do we need to do? So we would have run the trimmers. Got the control lock on. Parking brake is on. Got some park brake pressure up there. Flaps are up, and that's matching. Got these in disc. And conditioning was to fuel off. We're going to tune the radios later. The radar is off. Radar in this, unlike the Airbus, doesn't turn on automatically on the ground. Even if you set it on, you have to actually press a series of buttons. I think you have to press the stab button several times within a few seconds to turn it on, because they don't want the radar on the ground, because of course we could have ground crew standing right here. So very bad. Airbus not so bad because it's a bit taller, of course. JB, good to see you. I hope you're doing well. Busy doing a flight from Durban to Cape Town. Excellent. Enjoy that one. Sam Powell, good to see you. Thanks for joining us. Defiant Prawn says, does SimBrief tell you recommended pitch trim for takeoff? No, it will not. It will give you the C. Oh, would it give you the CG? No, it depends how you loaded your aeroplane. Most flight plans don't do that, even at the airlines. So we're at 6 passengers. So what we'll do now is time to load the box. Oh, what was that? Something closed. Oh, they've opened up the cargo. They're loading up the front cargo. That's why. Right, I'm going to get rid of those yokes. They are just too big. Yoke. Hide. Thank you. Probably a better way of doing that. The other thing we're going to do is we're going to have the reset fan on. You'll notice, well, you can have AC external power, but this aircraft uses DC typically. We would typically use DC. Strange, right? Airbus, obviously AC. It's Twitch and YouTube today, I hope. So entirely your choice. Good. Right. Okay. Let's go and load in the box. So yeah, that's all fine. Accepted. Message. I know that's going to say yep. Thank you very much. Let's go to flight plan. Menu. Do we need to do menu? No. Just flight plan. So we're going from Key West. Then we're going to go direct to Kanu. So type in here. Kanu. Nathan, thanks for following. Enter. Accept. 42 miles makes sense. Then Ferrell. Enter. Oh, I've got that wrong. And thanks, Brew, for the follow. It can't find it. Is that a new point, or have I misspelled it? Ferrell. Yep. Must need the latest database. Yikes. Okay, well let's just put in KNCO. It's a pretty short route and there's no air traffic anyway, so we will survive. It does know Orlando International at least. Then we go menu. We're going to have apart. So the wind, it's a northerly wind here. So we can choose our runway. I think we're expecting runway 27, which, let's see, where did our friend go? The Airbus is going to take off of 09. I think we'll go for 27. I think we did 09 last time. We have actually flown from here before, which we don't normally do. And then there's no SIDS out. So that just gives a no link, which is absolutely fine. So we'll take off and make our turn towards Kano eventually. What we're also going to do is put in the arrival. I have absolutely no idea. Overlay not set. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Thank you. I can't believe how regularly I forget that one. JBo's enjoying YouTube a bit better. Oh, Lean's already ready for takeoff. Enjoy. Let me put this in. Our next plane. That's good. So, going to be Key West to K MCL. And we're going to be Frontier Flight 303. Good. Thank you very much. Right. Yeah, so this reckons 36 right, so I don't see why... Well, that apparently doesn't exist. There it is, 36 right. So it begins. That's number 8. And then we're going for the Jokers. Ooh, I'm going to get into trouble here because this is way, way, way out of date. This is becoming a bit of a guess now. Let us... How can I solve this one? So in the Airbus, I would go to plan and have a look. So let's go to... there it is. And let's just start with... Oh, I know what I'll do. Stop being lazy. I'm trying to be lazy here. Oh. Okay, MCO. Twelve arrival plates. So there is a Jokers 2. That's not good, is it? Oh, I hope there's no air traffic when we get there. Thanks, Shoddy, for the follow. Yeah, that's not good at all. So we're going to go something like that. Ben, Bitho, Bugs. Oh, that's disappointing. I had big trouble updating this one. Goofy. We have a Goofy arrival. So we could do that one, couldn't we? I wonder why they're called Goofy. Can't even see a waypoint. So let's do that. Let's do Goofy from the south. Number 6. And then we'll go via PHK, the most western points. Oh, sounds like they're nearly done boarding. And we'll finish with an INS onto 36 right. No, it says via Trampen model. What does that mean? Let's have a look. Oh, I'll have to do that when we're en route. Okay, let's now delete that link. And we should have a route. There we go. So we take off out the west, head to Kanu. Good. There's seems to be no specific departures or altitudes out of here. So we're going to go to altitude of, scroll all the way down. Let's start with 6,000 feet. That's traditional. (6,000 feet), and we're going with the QNH 3011. There it is. Good. Now we need to go around heading outsail, so press that. Go around. We'll take heading. We're going on off of 27, so put westerly heading bug. Go around, heading mode, and outsail. That's the FMAs we want to see. So we've got a mode for departure, got the go around for the vertical, and we've got the altitude select, so it will level at 6,000. And we're on 3011, about sea level. Looking good. Set that on here as well. Okay, we're coding there then. Almost done now. Last things to do in here. So we've done the flight plan. MSGN, good to see you. Yep, we're still boarding, absolutely. Perth, do we need to do anything in here? I feel like we did, because we needed to load in the weight, but it's not in there. Fuel page, that's what we need. So, we've got 62 passengers. I think we do. No, 66 passengers. Wow, total weight. Oh, what are the passenger weights? This is embarrassing. Uh, 5220. There we go. So that's the total weight. So this reckons 79 passengers for some reason. To get 5220. No, 79 kilos per passenger. That makes sense. Right. There we go. So that was the total passenger weight, 5220. But that's not right. That's at 50. Well, anyway. None of that's what we ended up with, is it? This is what we ended up with. 50 passengers. So why did the loading page say 66? 03823.5, which is fine. I don't know. Well, anyway, cargo 336, not much cargo. 03823.145 versus 23.506. So yeah, it's 400 out, but we'll make that work. Fuel on board, we've got 3.3 as we wanted. I think if you just go to the fuel page, we'll get a total figure. There you go, 3340. Goods. Alternate fuel, you'll get this off the chart. I say chart, this isn't really a chart, it's a flight plan, but there we go. Down here, alternate fuel to Miami, 876, quite a lot actually. Holding fuel, which I think is going to be final reserve fuel, 654. Extra fuel, don't need it. So there we go. So now it will make its calculations accordingly, which is good. The rest of this will start up when the engines are running. Great. That's good. I think we're pretty much at the point for the checklist. How's the cabin doing? They're all closed up and ready to go. They've removed the chocks, I can see, and the cones. I'm going to start up the APU. Power does its bite test. Start. Whilst it does that, let's go back to our normal pages. Oh yeah, let's accept, and then I need to go to menu. Nope, master crossfill from FMS1. Goods, flight plan. That message is very irritating. Let's get rid of that. Expired goods. Right, I think we're almost there. I can't think of much else to do in here, except let's just plan our departure a little bit more carefully than I just did. So, taxi out, straight ahead, Bravo 7, full length Alpha 4, no headwind on takeoff, just a light crosswind, climbing to 6,000 feet. We know there's no serious terrain around here, so there's not too much of an issue there. We do need to do the performance though, so that is done here, I think. Yes, here, and then I need to just select the flap. So I'll select flap 5 and then rerun the performance once we are pushed back. We're rotating at 126. But actually, I think we'll do a flap 15 takeoff out of here, given the shorter length of the runway. Good. Right, let's go system, doors, system. Now we get the doors there. External power on. APU's up and running, but the generator needs to be turned on itself. You see it won't come on until we disconnect the GPU. Clunk. Now it's on. So we can say disconnect GPU. Good. Right. I think we're almost there. Oh, there you go. Brian, thanks very much, Brian. New FAA standards to increase the average weight for passengers. Yeah, which makes sense. Lauren V, I agree. It is a bit of a weird alternate of Miami, but we'll take it. More options in between. So reset fan is on. External check completed. Alternate gear doors, landing gear, inhibit switch, which are down here and up here, and that are all closed and norm. Flight deck prep completed. Briefing completed. For start checklist. Circuit breakers check. Let's get those passenger signs on, actually. That is a good point. Passenger signs are on. Emergency lights arm. They need to be armed before the passengers get on. Anti-skid is on. Fuel transfer is off. It's down here. That is off. And we have the right amount of fuel. Emergency brake pressure is on and checked. That's all good. Just turn up the brightness of that screen. There we go. Thanks for the subscription. Good. Power levers should be in disc. They are. Very easy, by the way. These power levers, very easy to find them out of position because this is, of course, quite a tight flight deck. And to get out, you had to put your hand up on this handle and then you would swing your legs over the instruments and so on. It was quite difficult to do. So as a result, these could be out of position quite easily. So yeah, very important. They are in disc, which stands for disc. As in actual disc. Condition levers are fuel off. Takeoff data is reviewed. They are indeed in fuel off and reviewed. Good. Next is going to be start approved. So before we do that, let's do the usual. So we put the beacon to red. That starts the voice recorder as well. Then we're going to put the well, we could put the TCAS to. I don't remember. Just turn it on. Yeah, I suppose so. There it is. Good. We're on guard. 1228. Right. So battery master main or standby battery all on. Doors fueling lights out. Yeah, so there's a little light up on this panel when they're fueling. I should have checked for it actually. It would say refuel panel. I think it's down here. We can actually see if we test the caution panel. There we go. Fueling on. That little panel there. So that's just all it is a little micro switch connected to the panel in the fueling panel out on the engine itself. Yes, so that's good. AP bleed off. We don't need to start. Anti-collisions are red. Engines cleared for start. Good. Next is going to be after start. Loads to do after start. So let's just let them all know what we're doing. Is it just us here now? I think it might be. Oh, there's American over there. QS traffic. Frontier Flight 303 on the main apron. Starting engines. Good. Don't know why I need to do that actually, but there we go. Let's start at number 2. So, I'm going to select engine 2. Before we do that, hold on, let's just deselect it. Let's just get the. I don't want to do it once the engine's running. Oh, well, that needs to be shut. Good. Right, let's go and pick a couple of camera views. Jet fighter, I'm just using default X-plane 11. Oh, that's no good. Forget it's a small airplane. I was trying to go further back to find the engine. Sorry about those frame rate drops. I promise the simulator isn't dropping those frames. It's again, as ever, streaming software. I'm sure you're all sick of hearing that by now, but that is the truth. How's that? Does that look good? Is that a good view? Seems okay, doesn't it? And so I've saved that one, and we'll go and find another one further back. All right. So hopefully we got an engine and a wheel. That's all we need. Good. Right, let's start up engine 2. Starting 2. Select. NH. Fuel lever 2. Start feather. Okay, good start. Awesome. That's sim. Yes, good. And we'll start engine 1. Select. Even that little drop. See how this dial drops just as it loses power? It's great. That's a great little detail. There's an H. And that's it. Start select switch has gone to the centre on its own. We're all up and running. Engines are all good. Cancel the master caution. And we are pretty much ready to go. Thanks, Neil, for the follow. So, let's see if I can do everything from the after start flow without having to use the checklist. So, I'm going to turn on the nose wheel steering. I'm going to bring the condition levers to max and let the engine spool up. Hopefully you can hear that. While that does that, I'm going to set the nav page and nav page on the screens. There's the engines sitting at disk, which is good. I'm going to do standby pressure, PTU control. I'm going to isolate number 3 system and run the elevators. There they go. That's working. Let's close that. Get rid of that. I'm going to turn on the auxiliary fuel pumps. I'm going to turn on the pitot heats. Probably do that near the runway. Leave those closed. We don't have an icing concern today. I'm going to turn on the bleeds. Have bleeds on and min for the passengers. We can get rid of the APU. There's no way I've remembered it all. There will be something here. There's just a huge number of... Considering this is a very simple cockpit, if you look around, there's not that many buttons compared to some aircraft. And yet you use every single one of them. Sort of every flow. Okay, I really... Apart from the lights to taxi. Flight taxi, switch to taxi. Can't think of much else. Let's see. Center part APU off. Main bus tie. Of course. Main bus tie off. Bleed out 1 and 2 on and min. Battery temperatures check. Condition levers max. Standby high PTU control on. High press and quantity. Isolation valve open. Travel and norm. We've done that. That was all what we did earlier. Flaps. Oh, goodness sake. So I'm going to go for a 15 takeoff for this one. And that should adjust the speeds accordingly. There we go. Actually get off the ground in time. Flaps are now set. And let's just check they travel to 15. Only available down here. Afternoon, Geordie. That's why we have checklist as checkpoint. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. 15 is there. DRS pressure check. So we're going to hold it into manual, and then we can cycle around each set. Then they should inflate. There they go. And then we can check down here that the icing pressure stays, and you should see a slight dip as each one is selected. And then you would cycle all the way around and check you don't get a caution. Very prone to getting a caution, because ice or water in the system would just freeze up and then wreck the valves, and yeah, so not uncommon to need that. But there we go. Turn it off. Tested the icing props. Put the windshield heat to norm, I think, as well. I'm going to put the pilot side. Window heat. I don't remember having to do that. There we go. All working. Good. Rudder travel. Full travel. No disconnect, I don't think, so it has to be done here. Steering, then the steering switch would go on. Windshield heat, we've done. Flight taxi to taxi, radar navcom, PFD, MFD, yaw damper. Oh, didn't even do the yaw damper, there we go. Well, that was not a great success rate. Good. So we've done the altimeters, put the taxi lights on. We're going to taxi out to the right. Let's just do this now. So taxi lights on, altimeters are set, flight instruments check, pumps. Auto feather select. That needs to be on, very important. Flaps set and indicating, trims are set, takeoff warning. So I'm going to release the parking brake. can just test that. That's looking good. Test. Conceivers max. Speed overheat on. Ice protection not required. Caution 1 ice check. Flight clearance cabin. That is done. Next is the lineup checks. Right. QS traffic. Frontier flight 303. Taxiing runway 27. Clear on the left. Clear on the right. Parking brake released. Let's go. Does take some power to get moving this one. At disc it would just sit there quite happily. This is a slightly narrower taxiway than I expected. Yikes. There we go. Don't think that would be certified for an aircraft of this size. Oh, and slightly uphill. Greetings, Hamadi and Carissa. Can you play Microsoft Flight Simulator 2 one time? Yeah, we regularly use it. Regularly see Microsoft Flight Simulator on the channel as well. Good, right, using the rudder then for the steering here. Anything else we need to do? We've done the taxi checklist. The next will be the lineup checks, which is pretty much just putting lights on and moving that flight taxi switch to taxi. Nice scenery this, I do like it. What's that caution? Why have we got a caution? Just left over. The takeoff profile from flat 15. We're going to take off. We can't use the autopilot to 1,000 feet in this airplane. Cole, good to see you. And Cade, I did see Cade there, so good to see you, Cade, as well. Thanks for joining us. Yeah, we're going to take off. We're going to climb straight ahead. I could put inbound course, but we're actually going to select a nav source of FMS 1. That'll work when we take off. I'll do a direct to Kanu. Nothing too exciting there. Yeah, take off, get to 1,000 feet, lower the nose, accelerate. We're going to bring the flaps up. Then we're going to go to... it'll be flaps up. Condition levers 900. Bleeds on and min. And we can engage the autopilot. Those are the things we can do there. And then once we're clean, we can do the flow, get rid of the fuel pumps, auto feather, things like that. I'm going to stop here then, and we'll do the lineup checklist before entering the runway. Make my life easier. That ding is the parking brake being set. So the airplane gives you a warning that you've set the parking brake, even on the ground. It's a real bugbear of mine that the caution warning system doesn't know. Because what's wrong with setting the parking brake on the ground? Nothing. But the reason it gives you a warning is because the airplane doesn't really know if it's in the air or on the ground. It's very basic. Well, certainly the warnings don't. Hence why you get warnings during start, warnings during shutdown, which in the Airbus you just don't get. So it's going to give you a warning every time you set the parking brake. So you end up, if you fly this airplane, you're just constantly hearing ding, ding all day, over and over again. Which is not a major problem, but you do wonder whether you should be hearing the master caution so regularly and having to ignore it. Good. Anyway, so that is us at the holding point. And they're taxiing out behind us, clear on the approach.
US traffic number 4000, go 2 miles, final runway 9, US traffic.
QS traffic, Frontier Flight 303, taking off runway 27 to the west and then making a turn to Kanu to the north. Good, so...
US traffic, this is November 4 Hotel Tango, we are 5, the final approach 9, will be head on head, 2 miles.
Okay, QS traffic then, Frontier Flight 303 holding short runway 27. Okay, there's traffic out there. There they are. No, that's my fault. I should have heard their first call. I'm so used to not seeing traffic around. So cabin crew notification done. Bleed 1 or 2 min and off. So we can do that now. Min and off. Anti-collision goes to white. Transponder TCAS is on. Flight controls checked free. He says need that done. There we go. Now they're definitely free. Flight taxi goes to flight, which will bring the spoilers up. And landing taxi lights are on. So that's the lineup checklist done. Next is the after takeoffs. This is real players, this traffic. This is FlyJSim. Let's hope they make their exit there. You can see the spoilers come up. So this is a common moment for other pilots, for example the pilots on that American Airbus, to ask us why our spoilers are up and if we know about it, because they're worried that we're going to not realise as we try and take off. There we go, great success. Our colleague is down. This would be really frustrating. All pilots, I don't know if any of you have read Fate as a Hunter, but all pilots would obsessively watch an airplane take off or land. If you're standing there or sitting here and a plane goes past the window, you've just got to see it land.
Traffic for a Tango leaving runway to the right. Runway is yours.
Looks like they made Delta. QS traffic, Frontier Flight 303, lining up runway 27. Okay. Brakes released. Yeah, so it'd be annoying to be stuck looking back on yourself. FO wouldn't be able to see anything here. Zim says, they don't have a Dash 8 Q400 Frontier. Indeed they do not, but they did once upon a time. As a slightly different call sign anyway. Okay, we're ready to go. So, let's head over to Orlando, taking off, making a right turn after departure. Wind slightly from the north, so do a slight right heading bug. QS traffic, Frontier Flight 303, taking off runway 27. Okay. Slight forward pressure. Actually, no, we don't need no forward pressure required on the dash because it sits slightly nose down, as you can see. So, brakes released. 2 clicks forward, effectively, flight rating. Or 1 click forward, there's only one D10. Auto feather is armed, very important. And power set. Rotating at 113. Oh, I'm glad we used the extra flap. 113, V1 and rotate. Weathercocking into the wind from the right.
Terrain.
Positive climb. Gear up. I'm sure we pitched above 10 degrees. There we go. Something like that. Trim it out slightly. So there's 1,000 feet, lowering the nose to that go-around flight director. I think it's set like that for a single engine go-around. I think that's why, but I'm not 100% sure on that. Then we can bring the condition levers to 900. Props to 900s. Needs a bit of right rudder trim, which is realistic at this sort of power setting. There we go, that's better. We can put the bleeds on and min, and we can bring those flaps to 10. I'm going to engage the autopilot. And I'm going to do a DTO, point number 2, which is Carnu. And I'm going to engage nav, because it doesn't work otherwise. It's going to do 2 things. Right, now let's engage IS, and let's accelerate to 210 with a climb. Flaps to 5. And flaps to 0, above the minimum clean speed. I think the minimum clean was 175, but that's probably just an airline procedure. Let's put this nav source over there to FMS 2. Let's just do FMS 1. Great. Turn off the fuel pumps, turn off the auto feather. Don't need the anti-ice now, luckily we climbed out of it. Certainly the taxi light can go off. I think we're pretty much there. So after takeoff, check this landing gear is up. Flaps, just check they did travel to 0. They are at 0. Climb power is set. We've got 900 and... So why does it say end top? And why are they at 1020 still? That's not right. There we go. So, max climb. And now we have 900. There's out star. Got to keep an eye on these things. Climb power is now set. Stand by P2 control. There you go. 2 more things I didn't do. Norm. Tank pumps off. Auto feather off. Engine T's and P's checked. All in the green. Ice protection not required. Cabin temp check and passenger signs as required. Next is the cruise checks. Good. Leveling at 6 and rapidly running away on the speed. There we go. Out. And we're going to climb up to 23,000. Let's just have a view. There we go. Passengers by now starting to doze off. Beautiful scenery under those clouds. Shame we can't see it. It's really, really good. Yeah, look at that. Oh, that's screenshot time. We are finally in the air indeed. Victor Tango says, when you're at cruising altitude, could you explain what the power and condition levers do? I can't quite understand why you need 2 sets of levers. Yeah, well that's a very good question. And effectively, nothing. All we're doing with these condition levers in this airplane, they're just there to look like condition levers, but they're not really controlling the RPM. You could just have a button and it would work. Or the airplane could have just known the phase of flight and you could override it. And we do actually have a button. I can change the thrust limit. But what this does, when I put it to 900, it changes the airplane's thrust limit to maximum climb thrust. If I had it set to 1020, it would be normal takeoff power as the limit. So I'm going to put it to 900 and then 850, which would be cruise thrust, max cruise thrust. So that's what it's doing. And it also adjusts the RPM from 850 to 900 to 1020. So that's all it's there for. We can override it, and I could put in 850 now, and then I can just go to max climb and demand max climb thrust from the engines. It's also an option. And some people do that to get quieter climbs out of the airplane. Not strictly speaking procedure, but maybe some airlines do it routinely now. Let's climb up then. We're going up to 23,000. But yeah, once you're in the cruise, you really don't need them. You leave them at 850 until the approach. The only time you'd use them in the descent is if you need to get height off. You can increase the RPM to create more drag. Very useful. So there's 23,000. Let's go IS. Go to flight rating. And outsell. And let's make sure we have the right speed of 210. There we go. So that's working nicely. Yeah, hopefully that makes sense. Mr. Espresso says, I guess it's quite loud inside the cabin. It is indeed. It is loud with those propellers. Good to see you, Mr. Espresso. Thanks for joining us. Old Man Bishop says, yes, it's super loud. I have some noise cancelling headphones. John Doe says, surprisingly, this airplane isn't that noisy. So it is going to be subjective. It depends what you fly on. It's not the loudest turboprop out there. There are much louder ones, but it's not as quiet as sitting in a jet. There's no doubt about it. They've done their best, but it's not as quiet. No. Let's go to standards. So we can just click it. 29902, 29902, and I think this one we have. No, there we go. 29902. Great performance as ever in this airplane. We do have to continuously update the heading bug. Good. Well, not long now. Thank you very much, Key West. we're going to have to get the charts ready for where we're going. Now I have no idea where we'd park in this airport. This is way too big for me. We've gone with 3.6. So goes via Ben and then Tramp. Okay. So there's Ben. And if I find the ILS for 3.6 right. Tramp straight in. Okay, so that's good. So that should tie up nicely. So once we're up in the cruise, we will tune all that in. It's 10,000 feet. Land lights are off. Seatbelt signs can go off. Let everyone walk around. Not much else to do. We're pressurising nicely. Got a differential pressure. Cabin rates about 1,000 feet per minute. Altitude's climbing. That rate will have to reduce soon, and that diff will need to increase because we're already at 8,000 feet cabin altitude, which is not great. Sign that we climb very quickly. Ah, they're Disney arrivals. Right. I don't know what they are. Airbus Aviation, thanks, yeah. It's good to be back flying in America for a bit. Pitch is reaching 5 degrees, so now I'm going to revert to pitch mode by pressing IS again. Pitch hold, and I'm just going to set pitch to 5 degrees. And we'll climb like that. Pitch Sanger says, why is the RPM separate from power? So these are continuous speed propellers on the Q400. So if we change power now, if I take thrust off and we see the speed start to wash off, I can go all the way back to idle. You'll see the RPM, actually maybe not idle, but the RPM is still at 850, and you'll notice the sound doesn't change much, but there's the speed washing off. It's quite strange flying a continuous speed propeller aeroplane. So they're called constant speed propellers because they have the ability to stay at the same RPM. Why do they do that? Well, it's more. I think it's more efficient, and I think it lets you put more power down. So it's a bit like being in a car and changing gear, but it's a continuous gear. A bit like I think it's similar to CVT. So as I adjust power, I think you might be able to see it. Not quite in flight. They are getting a little bit thicker, but the more power I add, the more the propeller turns at a coarser angle to the air, so it's pushing back more air, but it's still spinning at the same rate. So we get more thrust and we go faster by pushing more air back, but by changing the angle of the propeller blade instead of just increasing it. If you had fixed propeller blades, like on small aircraft, like a Cessna 172, or a cheaper one anyway, fixed pitch propellers, where the RPM changes, that directly links to how much air is being pushed back, because you can't change the pitch of the propeller. But because we can change the pitch of the propeller, that lets us do that. Why do we need to do that? Well, the one advantage is, with a normal propeller aeroplane, you don't want the tips of your propeller going supersonic. It's incredibly noisy, and if you spin them too fast and the tips go supersonic, you get that noise, shockwaves form, and it ruins the aerodynamics, it ruins the efficiency of the propeller. It just doesn't work. So we do not want supersonic propellers. So if you've got a really powerful engine, and we do in the Q400, how can you get all the thrust out of it? Because you need a propeller that works at low speed and high speed, and eventually you spin it too fast, it's going to break the sound barrier and rip itself to pieces or be useless. So that's why we have the ability to coarsen the blade, turn it more against the wind, so it puts more weight against the engine, puts more air back, and lets us go faster. That's the magic of it. It's also why we have 6 propeller blades, because of course if we only had 2, they would be spinning way too fast, so you can put more propeller blades on, has a similar effect. So you can tell the Dash 8, 6 propeller blades and massively coarse propellers, spinning very slow. 850 RPM is pretty slow. It shows you how powerful those engines are. Yeah, really nice. Thanks so much to Vuti too, very kind for the £10 super chat, really appreciate it. Vuti says, terrible Wi-Fi, probs, with you in spirit to have a great flight. Thanks so much, Vuti, really very kind, really appreciate it. I hope you're doing very well. Thanks for kindly donating towards us today. El Smith says, get a Bravo throttle and you can try. My hand was there. Thanks, El. Yeah, yeah. I definitely want to. So El has created some superb looking Q400 handles, but yeah, I don't have a Bravo throttle anymore. I just have it for the video. And, 850 RPM on the up for these engines. 850. Mark says, so if they increase the prop pitch, it must put more load on it. So does engine power increase exponentially? Well, it's up to the strain of the engine. So everything we've discussed there is the reason why we measure the engine power on torque. This is the useful measurement, because prop RPM is completely pointless. It doesn't change as I change power. So it's torque, and torque is obviously the amount of strain being put against that propeller. So at 80%, that's the most we can use, and that's the high fuel flow. So it's torque, the torque against the propeller that we're measuring for our power delivery. And as pilots, we have to listen to it. So it's hard to do because, of course, the RPM isn't changing. But you can do actually. There is a certain noise on the Dash 8 that does change. It's like an electrical sort of whine, and you could judge the engine slightly from that, not perfectly. VH Tango, yeah, that's it. Power changes pitch of the props. Conditionally was changed how fast they spin. Ollie Nut says almost at top of descent. Should have waited. Yeah, you were very quick. The video scooter says 850. Yeah, I must have said it wrong, but yeah, 850 RPM. Evening, George Lumpkin. Hope you're doing well. Orlando indeed. Enjoy. Oh well, George is going to Orlando in May for some Disney magic. All being well. Very jealous. Enjoy that. We should do. Does the Orbex scenery include Disneyland when we get there? Thanks again to Butch2 if you are listening for the very kind donation. Ethan says, is torque used exclusively for turboprops, since constant speed props with piston engines use manifold pressure? Good question. Yes. I don't think you won't get a piston engine using torque. I do not believe. That could be wrong. Reason is a piston engine propeller, although it's the reason we use torque in the turboprop is it's a free turbine, so the propeller's separated from the engine. There's no direct mechanical link. It's just turned by the airflow being blasted over it, over the turbine to spin the propeller. So I don't see why you could have that in a piston engine. In a piston engine, the propeller is still directly linked to the piston camshaft, but it's you can just adjust the angle and therefore adjust the manifold pressure. Yeah, which is a different thing because it's got a manifold to draw in air, of course, which is not what we're using here at all. So it might be possible. I would imagine it would be possible, but I don't think that's normal in a piston engine. Mark says, thanks, I think I get it. Constant speed props have always confused me. I understand the principle, but you've helped clear it up. Okay, thanks, Mark. Yeah, it's a difficult topic. It's a difficult topic. It's something that took me a while to get my head around when learning it. Georgie says, don't make an emergency landing at Gator World unless you're a fast swimmer. There you go. There's a TFR above Disneyland, so we can't fly above Disneyland. There you go. Microsoft Flight Simulator does a good job of modelling Disney, even the big Epcot ball. There you go. Wow, I didn't know that. Something I haven't thought to do yet. Beach Tango says, last question, I promise. Are the different RPM used to guarantee a certain output from the engine depending on the phase of flight? Okay, yes. Yes, so the reason we need it, just like a variable pitch propeller on a piston engine, if we need to go around, we need to go to 1020 RPM, because the faster the propeller spins, the more responsive it will be and the more thrust we can get out of it at max power. Yeah. Whereas this is effectively being in a higher gear, as it were. Now up here, it's not going to make any difference, but down low in thicker air, where the engines have excess performance, that's where you want that available to you. Yeah, absolutely. Ollie says, maybe you should do a group flight over Disney. Yeah, we could do, yeah, could do. Flipstar says, for a flat 35 approach, when would you set it to steep mode instead of standard? I assume more than 4 degrees. Yeah, good question. The steep mode, which is over here, is used, which is obviously used for London City. What the criteria is, I don't know, but it just allows you to fly a slightly steeper approach without the airplane shouting at you. 4 degrees sounds reasonable to me, Flipstar. That seems like a good guess, but I can't remember for sure. Outstar. Good stuff. Line up the heading bug. Let's zoom out a bit on the range. That's the start of the arrival. Passengers wandering around. Let the airplane accelerate a bit. You're welcome, Victor Tango. Quite a wind up here. Just getting glimpses of the really nice scenery. It's so frustrating. Don't know why I did live weather. I suppose because I'm on that sim. Right. Let us. This is how it is on these small regional airplanes. Let me just check there's no air traffic. Oh, there is. Oh no. They're using ILS. Oh dear. Right, so they've got an ATIS. Information Gulf. This could unravel. Gulf. Wind is 290 at 9. So that's fine. Just a light westerly breeze. Altimeter 3012. Temperature 9. Not that warm. Not that warm for Orlando. Right. Simultaneous approach. RS for 35 right. RNAV 36 left. That's right, we can do either. Visual approach available. No, we won't do that. Landing 36 left, 35 right. Departing 36 left and 36 right, 35 left. They've closed the whole load of taxiways. We're not worried about that. Birds and deer. Excellent. I don't often hear deer on the 80s, so there's a concern for deer. Bright lights. Advise you of info. Golf. Okay, so we got that. That's going to be awkward if we... I'm going to have to request his arrival then, aren't I? It's cold here today, says Charlotte. Going as a freezing. There you go. Unusual. Yeah, you can't multi-stream as an affiliate, indeed. Hence I can't do it. But we're debating how we're going to change that. Georgie says, Orlando group flight will be fun for Kennedy. Ah, yeah, that would be good, wouldn't it? Thanks for the follows. Orlando ATC doesn't like the Disney TFR and they commonly bet you through it if you ask. Oh, I see. Very good. Very good. Mike says, for me, the name confuses me. A turboprop isn't a turbocharged piston engine, but a jet turbine with a prop. Yeah, exactly. It's instead of turbojet, I suppose. Instead of a jet of air, it uses a propeller. But yeah, indeed. Cruise checklist, good point. Let's do it. Altimeters are set to standard power. See, this is why there's a cruise checklist. We are at 850, but we need to reduce it from MCL. So I'm going to go to press this to MCR, max cruise. There we go. Power set, cabin pressure check, lights off. Check the pressurizations. There you go. It's 8,000 feet, level 5 psi. Doesn't pressurize very high. The Airbus pressurizes to 8 psi. Older airplanes slightly higher than that. Good. Yeah. Well, I'm a bit terrified now. This is not the situation I wanted to build myself into because I'm now in an airplane that I'm vaguely familiar with, but not perfectly familiar with, and we're about to fly an arrival that I don't have in my database. And I'm also struggling. Why can't I find a plan view? No. Not holding the format, but I just press format. There it is, right. Then we zoom in. So I like this arrival. I might change my flight plan. Maybe that'll work. Yeah. But that's 36 right, so I want 35 right. They're not landing on that runway. So arrival. Change that to 35 right, number 6 by Goofy 7. So SeaWorld, is that for SeaWorld? No, it starts to make sense. SeaWorld. Bugs? Not sure about the others. And we've agreed we're going by... Oh, there's Ferrell. So Ferrell... Oh, I see, yeah. So we should have done Ferrell. But that didn't work. So we are going to cut in a bit later via Papa Hotel Kilo. We may just have to go offline, I'm afraid, if we start to annoy them. We have to go by cruise. So that's because we're not using this chart. We're looking for the RS 35 right. Cruise, there it is, number 1. Enter. Okay, so there's a bit of a flight plan. It says unlinked because I don't know. What is it complaining about? Let's go direct to number 3 again to make sure it's up to date. We are in LNAV. And then we go flight plan. Well, not. I don't care about those. We're past those now. PHK, then vectors, and then cruise. Let's hope that works. Goofy arrivals to certified line. Indeed, it is. The Dash 8 has way more power than the ATRs, if I recall. It does indeed. Richard Dustley. Yeah, it does. It is good. The Joker arrival might be a jet only. You might need the Mini 5. Mini 5. Oh, no way. I didn't appreciate all these different arrival names when I chose this. Oh, that looks good. That does look good. Mini 5, there it is, number 8. See, Lauren V is our expert. Air traffic controller. Via Boxer. Can we do that? RS35 right. Via cruise. Number 3. Slightly different routing. But that'll give us time to think about the mess we've made. Ollie's already on 36 right. You don't want the Boxer via... No, we could do... I see, we could do... So if we went via RSW, that would work, wouldn't it? Heading back to where you were. Aeroplane, thank you. Flight plan, menu, arrival. You can see why it's your workload and capacity. Look at that, there's even a shadow of the heating element. You can see why your arrival, or workload, sorry, is a lot easier to airports you've been before. Even without complacency. It's not about... You know, you don't want to be complacent and just start doing things without thinking. But more to the point, we want to go RSW, then we go number 4. More to the point, you just know this stuff doesn't take time to think about. Whereas on your first day there, first trip, DTO, RSW. Oh, it's still off to the left, but there we go. Let's do it. Nav. LNAV. Just give us more time. Why does the FMS allow so many discontinuities? It's silly to saying indeed it is. There's so many things on this FMS that I can't explain or defend. Good. Right, so we got an arrival. I'm going to tell air traffic that when we get speaking to them. I might just adjust my flight plan actually. Can we do that? Can I just refile the flight plan now? I don't see why not. And then we go via min. There we go. Save. And file. Good. Solved that one. Right, so we're going to go to Lee County, RSW. Then we're going to make a left turn north. Oh, we're making a right turn. We're coming in from over here. I need to get my head sorted out. We're slightly east. There we go. Right. So, Lee County, right turn up, via down, Moans, Mini, Unity, Orlando. From Orlando, at some point before Orlando, we're expecting vectors to Mini. Is this for any specific runway? Doesn't seem to be. So if you're doing the south runways, you'll be higher, and if you're doing north runways, you'll be lower, which makes sense. No, that's fine. Okay. And then we're going to go to cruise with radar vectors from Orlando, or some point before that. Hopefully get taken straight in. Landing on 35 right, which is over here. Okay, to November 3 probably. Flat 15 for this one. Roll out, head over, cross the runways and figure out where they send us. I don't know what the scenery looks like here. I don't have any special scenery for it. Don't go to Orlando, it's too north, you need to exit. Yeah, so it's a bit like Amsterdam then, I guess, where they point you at a VOR just in case, but realistically they're going to take you off. Robbie says, constant speed piston engines were common in World War II, I think. Just the prop pitch and throttle lever. Throttle position can equal torque or load compared to a gas turbine. Yeah. Yep, indeed, a Spitfire and all of those airplanes, because you wouldn't be able to get the power out of a single fixed pitch propeller, indeed. Lauren B says, no, you have to manually insert expect constraints that exist on the arrival if you want to not have a ridiculous top percent. Good point. Now, VNAV is not something I'm used to using. What on earth is this telling me? That. How are we going to do that? So let's forget this one. We're not using that. We're not using that one either. On the Mini. So I want, we're not a turbojet, but still landing on the north facing runways, 10,000 feet at Moans. So if I go to Moans, can I do that? 10,000. VNAV, there it is. And then I want a target vertical speed of 2,200. Enter. Top of descent in 85 miles. Okay. Very good catch, Lauren, indeed. There's our little top of descent marker. Good news. Right. Next, let's put in the minimum for that ILS. It's going to be 290. 290, 290, 290. Where do I put that? It's going to be over here. There it is. MDA 290. We're going to go flat 15. I'm going to click those. There's our approach speed 122. We'll be slightly faster than that on approach. Let's just do a crossfill from MSFS 1. Then we're going to do a DTO RSW. What a nuisance. I can see why it wasn't worth having 2 FMSs in this aeroplane. It's just not worth the extra work. I suppose it allows you to fly some variations on approaches or RMP and so on. Thanks for the follow, Sweenbeans. George Lumpy says, I've been meaning to ask, in a typical flight, how many times do you interact with the cabin from the cockpit? In FlyJSim, we press the call button before takeoff and landing. Any other regulars? I'm not going to be too specific. A, it'll be airline dependent, and B, it's probably best don't share those procedures. But I will say there's more than that. There is a flow of communication, indeed. Yeah, in a typical flight. Hayden, good to see you. Hayden says, watching you on the train back from London. Hope you enjoyed London, Hayden. And good to see you as well. Thanks for joining us. Laura B says, on this arrival, you probably count as a jet since you're able 250. A lot of arrivals in the US ask you to descend Fly max to 280, then maintain until slowed by the style ATC. Q400 no problem, descending at 250, but 280 might be a bit much. Yeah, 270 is our maximum in the descent really in a Dash 8. You gotta remember, without auto thrust, you don't want to be sitting close to that pole, and then as you get through to flight level 80, it does that thing where it suddenly chops the speed on you. Swing Bean says, I've been watching your YouTube tutorials for ages and just now clicked to follow you on Twitch. Thanks very much, Swing Beans. Really appreciate it. Glad you've been watching the videos as well. Child says, all is at KORL, which is my airport hometown. Downtown. Excellent. Yeah, there seems to be 3 international airports in all that. Doing pretty well. Sam says, what's the normal flap setting for takeoff and what factors affect it? Flap 5, as long as the runway's long enough. The shorter your runway, the more likely you'll need flap 10 or even 15. But normal would just be 5. It's the nicest. Most airplanes take off most enjoyably with the lowest flap setting. Airbus, flap 1 by far my favourite way to take off. Flap 2 and 3 are just a bit of a nuisance. And it was the same in the Dash. You just don't have the drag. So if you have an engine failure when you have less flap out, because all the performance is already calculated, you find that it's actually easier because the airplane just flies nicer. It hasn't got as much thrust, it hasn't got as much drag. It just works really well. Beautiful. You're welcome, Sam. Yeah, so we did a flap 15 takeoff out of Key West because of its length. I'm afraid I can't remember directly the numbers that affect this stuff. So, I mean, it's an international airport like Orlando, no problem for obviously flap 5 and flap 15 landing. But when you start getting down below sort of 2,000 meters, I'd imagine that's when you need to start thinking about adding some flap. And of course, depends on your weight and whether you've got a tailwind and things like that. Quieter seats in the Dash, by the way, if you're ever a passenger, it's a no-brainer. Get to the back. You want to be sat somewhere here. No passenger behind you. Quieter, good view out the window. It's great. Obviously not so popular with aviation enthusiasts because you miss out on the fun of the wheels and the propeller. By far the noisiest would be sitting in line with the propeller. Oh, I like the little overhead panel station. So I'm assuming the seatbelt sign works. I won't even check it. I'm sure it does. Let's put on some lights. The boarding lights, where should they? There's their door, there you go. That light there, you can turn on and off. Just amazing. Boarding lights somewhere up there, I suppose. Oh dear, this really takes me back. I love it. I love flying this thing. Many happy hours sat in that jump seat as well. Love this thing. There we go. Bang! Yep, and you sit there. So of course, if you're sat here and the door isn't locked, you know, when you're on the ground or something, you need to be really careful not to lean, or you lean on that and you just fall straight out the back because it just opens that way. That's your little radio panel. Oh, what have I done there? Don't know. So you can control just how you listen, plug in your headset here, and talk. Get a great view. There's no doubt about that, because again you're sat sort of above the pilots, so you do get a good view. Richard Darsley says, I used to commute on F-27s, always went temporarily deaf in one ear if I got pushed into a seat at the front. Yes. Yeah, so this is, it's quiet for a turboprop, it's louder than a jet. I think would be a fair way to put it. Check the H's has changed. And for Mike now. The annoying thing about H's is they're always changing. Anyway, there's still ILS 35 right, that's what we want. RNF 36 left. Load of taxiway closures. Almost altimeter. As far as I can see, 3010. I think it's changed. I think that didn't load properly. There it is, right. Information. Oh, it's changed again. It's hotel now. That's why it was in the middle of changing. Information hotel with 3010. There we go. Overcast 1100. Ah, this is a disaster. I don't know what to do about the weather. That's really annoying. There's beautiful scenery down there. Just can't see any of it. It's been ages downloading it. Who wants to cheat? We could cheat, get rid of it, but that's not very in keeping with flight simulation, is it? Lauren B says, "Is there an amusing anecdote about the Dash 8 jumps in unlocked?" Oh, well, I don't. I think it's just something to be aware of. You've got a nice mirror there as well to check your hairs in order before you present yourself to the passengers. But I don't remember ever actually falling off it. It'd be quite bad if you did, because if you look, it's actually raised up on a step, so you're sitting quite high if you're sat there. So yeah, you'd have a real fall, really bad. I mean, imagine. What's here? Oh, this would be the... Yeah, this is where you'd have your gabby and hot water and so on, serving the passengers. What do these do? I do remember these, but I don't know what they do. Oh, they're just textured up as GPOBIS override switches. I'm sure there's something these did. It's just swamps and suburbs down there, says Lana B. Oh, well, it's it's different to what I'm used to, though. Oh, this aeroplane. What an add-on. Oh, I haven't heard V1's exit Q400. Fun fact about the lights, these nav lights, there's two bulbs there. If this one fails, it automatically switches to bulb 2. So if you're doing your walk around and you see bulb 2 in use, you know that the first one failed. So you could have this one on number 2, but the other on number 1, and there's the same on the tail, I think. So there are two bulbs, but only one system. Yeah, there's two on the tail. With the Airbus, there's two bulbs, two systems, so you have to change system. So the problem with the Airbus is you do your walk around, you see a bulb's out because the light's off, and you have to swap system and then MEL it and so on. Whereas on this airplane, you could just, you didn't have to change system, you just left it there and you just mention it to the engineers, oh, you need to change the bulb. It's quite nice. Whereas on the Airbus, you'd have to have effectively the MEL would minimum equipment list, that is, for those of you who don't know. It's what we look in the minimum equipment list when something's broken and we decide if we're allowed to fly. So you effectively have to say that one of the nav light systems is broken. Are you allowed to fly without it? And go from there. And then they put a sticker and all sorts. Whereas on this airplane, just Just tell the engineer. Yeah, indeed, Jorsey. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is a bit like that. Right, what else we'll do? Getting closer now. Getting more nervous. Going to have to speak to them soon. Top of descent coming up to make sure that 10,000 restriction at Moans. We can check the fuel. What's going on here then? Why can't I get this MFD to do what I want? How unusual. Everything's where it should be. System. This should now show us the electrical page. I can't believe it's not. Have I forgotten something? Because this side's doing it. I don't know. Anyway, 2.6 tons of fuel. Absolutely plenty for what we need. Our diversion fuel. 800 kilos, so plenty of fuel. Should do a bit of fuel transferring for our own amusements. Put a bit into the left tank. So easy in this airplane. You just move it across. Puts a little arrow, shows you which way it's going. It runs the pump on the live side or the side you're draining. Moves it over. It's great. Such a simple system. Way more intuitive than the Airbuses. Right. Okay, anyway. There you go, you can already see it having effect. Let's drop slightly. Let's increase slightly. Tank temperature. Only get a temperature sensor in the left-hand tank for some reason in the dash, but there it is, 18 degrees. Plenty warm enough. Let's turn it off. Lights are out. Transfer valve is closed. Back to nav. Let's tune up our radio. So for this arrival, we could have a VOR of some variety, but I'm not going to bother. We're already over RSW 1118. You could put it to FMS, actually. I wonder what it would do. No, I don't know. I'm going to put 1118 in here. Should appear just behind us. Then we have to select the needle, VOR1. There it is, just behind us. It doesn't visually identify. You can't see it written anywhere. You have to actually listen to it on here. Now we're getting a message, presumably coming to the top of descent. Message, top of descent alert. Thank you very much, airplane. So we'll put 10,000 feet in, and we'll head down shortly. In fact, let's do that now. And that's going to be an altitude. Scroll. 10,000 feet, and then outcell. Always put them together. The RSW behind us, and the next VOR will probably be Orlando 1122. Actually, let's just put that in now instead of messing around. 1122, Orlando VOR, and then we got our ILS, which is going to be 11115. So I'm going to have that in backup. And there is a way, there's a really clever way. You can DME hold. I'm sure you can copy this across as well. No, I'm not that clever anymore. Let's just put it in the ILS. 11115. I feel like there was a way, but anyway. I'm not going to expect to use any NDBs. What we can do is we can set the course of 005 for that ILS, have it ready to go. Let's start down as well. Vertical speeds 2,200 we said. Trickling the power back. Need a bit of left rudder trim as you did that. There we go. There we go. And if we hold down format, I can now change my course to 005, ready for the ILS. Oh, steady on. There it is. Do the same on the other side. Interesting. Ah, it's not changing because it's in the HSI's across, I think. I will not worry about that side. Forget about that. Good. Anyway, ours is in the right place. And let's get back to the normal screen. I'm just holding the format button to get to that screen, by the way. Right, now in VNAV, I can see we're 1,000 feet high, V deviation, vertical deviation, 1,000 feet above where we want to be. So we need 2,500 feet per minute to make it. We've got the spare room on the speed, so 2,600 will do. And this is the magic of the Dash. If we wanted to, we could bring the RPMs up and just dive down so quickly. Copy across doesn't work in the Q400. For DME hold, you have to press and hold the LS key next to the frequency. There we go. Thanks very much. I like the way they've got gravity modelled as well. So if you let go of the armrest, it drops. That's quite unusual. That's very good. So you're going to put it all the way back up. Oh, come on. No. Okay, I liked it at first. What am I going to do about that? There we go. Right. See that? 2,600 feet per minute, no problem. 230 knots, not even increasing. RB says FlyJSim could have used that fuel transfer system in the depot. So I'm assuming the 7.3 has a similarly complex system, probably more complicated than the Airbus, given its overhead panel. Good. Right, we've done the minimum, done the brief. No MSAs to concern us. 3,000 feet. Got our routing, normal ILS to land. Got our taxi plan after landing. Threats are going to be changes from our traffic control, so we're going to need to be very clear with them if we're not sure what they're asking for, or if we need to swap to the RNAV. We need a few extra track miles to work it out. Thanks for the follow. Oh yeah, and we need to go on to our altimeter 3010. 3010. 3010. Ah, that's interesting. Look at the oil temperature. Not really sure why that would happen. I don't recall having that issue. That would be if an aeroplane was starting up at the start of the day, you might need to sit at the holding point and let the oil temperature warm up, but once it's in flight, never an issue. So I'm not sure. That seems a bit of a bug to me. I'm going to get rid of the VOR2 needle. Turn that off. There we go. So we're 50 miles from the Orlando VOR. I don't know if air traffic is still there. I've still got Natus. We've got a tower. It's getting awkward because we're heading to the Orlando VOR and there's no, as far as I'm aware, transition directly from the Orlando VOR to the approach. Go around, by the way, climb 500 feet, then a right turn to 3,000 outbound on the Orlando VOR 140, so 3,000 feet to go around. I did not hear the news about the PMG 737. What's that been given a release date then? Is that nearly here? That's going to be quite a game changer when it arrives, I'm sure. There's 1,000 to go with the beep. We can see we're almost back on our VDEF profile. So that's us passing Moans. Next waypoint, Mini. We can go stay at 10,000 feet. We've got to stay at 10,000 feet to this lake. Evening Isaac 346. Hope you're doing well. Good to see you. Thanks for joining us. We are just starting our Mini arrival into Orlando. Yeah, 10,000 feet from here, then from Mini down to 1,600 it seems. So we just drop down. We need 30 miles to landing. We've got, that's a 40-mile ring, so absolutely fine. At some point I'm going to take myself over there, I suppose. This is a bit strange, yeah. I'm not sure I'm going to keep doing the thrust. Or power. It's called power in this airplane. They're called power levers. You see power. STS Spencer says, regarding low oil temp, QRH says oil temp indication is yellow with prop de-ice on. Monitor affected engine performance, exit icing. That's a great, well remembered. So you can see now as soon as I've added power, so that's unrealistic. It shouldn't have gone that cold. But you've made a great point there. Thanks, STS. If you turn on the props, it increases the required temperature for the oil because of the icing conditions. So there you go. So now they're in amber. If I turn that off, they go green. I completely forgot about that. Yeah, very good. Good bit of knowledge there. Thanks, STS Spencer. Many Pandas says they've gotten unstuck and are getting ready to move into beta. Not sure how long PMDG's beta test programs usually are, but I don't predict it'll be long, and they say they're working on a release date as well as pricing. Very good. STS says threshold for temp is 55. Yeah, so I don't know. We had it here. If I bring the power right back, it seems to cool off too quickly. There, look at that. And it just dropped all the way into the yellow during the descent, which is just not... I don't remember doing that. I'm not sure if anyone else can comment. But if anyone else does remember, do let us know. Because I'm sure... I don't remember having any oil temperature issues in the descent. But yeah, great points about the props. Yeah, I like that. Well, so what should I do here? Shall we just vector ourselves over? I think so. I think a realistic arrival from here would be radar vectors to via cruise. So that's what I'm going to do. DTO number 9. Enter. Let's just sequence this. I love the picture. STS says fluid until 2020. Me neither. It should still remain white. Otherwise, fuel oil heat exchanger should have some damage. Yeah, that's it. That's what I would have thought as well. Thanks, Spencer. Thanks for coming along. And yeah, sorry to you about not flying the Dash anymore. Hopefully on to other things. Okay, miles to go. 20, 30, 10,000 feet. That's fine. Let's go down on this leg down to 1600. I'm going to put in the cruise point at 5,000. 5,000. Outsell, vertical speed. I wonder what VNAV's got now. Cruise at 5,000 needs 1,100 feet per minute. There you go. That would be about 3 degrees, wouldn't it? So let's do 12 for now. Try and keep it relatively efficient. Through 10,000 feet, landing lights coming on. Passenger signs on. It's all coming together. Right, so now 230 knots as we come through 80, and we'll watch this red bar. It's 260 now. It's about to drop to 240 something. Right, I don't need the VOR anymore, so I'm going to swap over to the ILS. STS says, love flying it. Hot and high was never a problem in the Dash. Agreed, yeah, it's very powerful. Really nice. We're going to land flat 15. Let's just check those speeds. 123 for now. Platform for the ILS. So Serre is at 4,000. And then we drop down to 3,000. Platform's actually 1,600, but I'm sure we'll be on the ILS before then. Descent checks, altimeters we've set. Approach landing briefing review. Cabin altitude controls set. And life protection not required. Next is the approach. Having said that, we should actually check. This is my fault. Should have checked the landing elevation. Somewhere, say airfield. It's about 100 feet. So we would set that on this little dial, but as you can see, that's basically nothing. It's just there, where it always is. How are we doing on the VDEV? About 1,000 feet per minute now to make cruise at 5,000. Looking good. So you can see this airplane, it has it all, you know, for a turboprop it's got the VNAV. It does sort of work. I wouldn't fly in VNAV mode, but this page is a useful page, no doubt about it. So we've already done the altimeters, we've done the lights. Chief Level's landing flap is set to 15. Fuel transfer is off. Let's do the tank pumps on. And as ever, these two join up with that. Tank pump, standby high P2 control, hydraulic pressure and quantity check. So you've got all the quantity, and these are the pressures, sorry, these are the quantities in the systems. Passenger signs are on, caution one lights check, cabin is secure. That's the approach that is complete, next is landing. So at some point here, we would swap over to our ILS source, but I'll do that shortly. There's 1,000 feet to go to cruise. You can see we only need 700 feet per minute now. So you see it's not as accurate as the Airbus. We're going to fly a nice long level segment here, having followed it, well, seen perfectly, but yeah, not quite as accurate. STS says, we used to set the elevation to airport elevation plus 1,000 to prevent the cabin from landing pressurized, but that's company SP. Ah, I don't remember doing that. But, seems reasonable, yeah. It's obviously very important we don't land in a pressurized airplane. They're just not designed for it. Waypoint alert. No, so it's not done too badly. Flat 15 landing, so pitch limit of 5 degrees. Expecting the power to be in the 15 to 20% torque. And not much else to say really. Just that 5 degree. Let's bring it back to 210 knots now. And we can drop down to our next point of Serre at 4,000. 4,000 outsail, vertical speeds. Once we're on the inbound, I'm going to arm the approach. Reduced MP does work. Yeah, it does indeed. So we will be doing that. Let's just do it now. So I'm going to go heading, nav source to the ILS, and then I'm going to arm approach. So there's lock star, glide slope is white. We are slightly above it, so just going to increase that VS. 1400s. Do a bit more. Let's do 1500 for now. Surprised we haven't heard from air traffic. But we haven't, so there we go. 11845, thanks Lauren B. I'll check in with them. 11845 is tuned, 190 knots now, 13 miles out, that's fine, but we're not gaining because of course I'm going to wind that altitude out. Let's see if it works like in the Airbus. VS down. Okay, we're 30 miles out, so I'm going to do 2,000 feet per minute. I think that's fine in the dash because it won't accelerate in the descent very easily, and that will be enough to make that glide slope quite easily. See how the speed just doesn't increase. It's the magic of this airplane. Let's get rid of that chart now. Set 800s. Let's do the 1,000. There's glide slope star. Going altitude of 3,000 feet and going here. 180 knots. Actually need to add a bit of power.
We're on the tower period 256.
It's a very unique airplane.
Wings 256, Orlando Tower, loud and clear. And we're on the tower period 256, requesting trains IFR to Jacksonville.
I should have probably checked in earlier.
If it's possible.
Oh, there you go. Lauren B says Tower doesn't want to speak to you until you're on the localizer, often not until 10 or even 5 miles. Perfect. Well, let's go to flat 5. You'll notice we're clean. No trouble in the dash, but let's go flat 5.
56, thank you.
There we go. Orlando Tower, good day. Frontier flight 303, ILS 35 right, 8 miles.
Frontier flight 303, Orlando Tower to Jacksonville Center, hand you off to me.
Negative, we were with Unicom, Frontier flight 303.
Frontier flight 30, the Orlando altimeter 3010, wind 290 at 7, runway 35 right, clear to land.
Clear land, 35 right, right to flight 303. 3010 we've got set, probably should have read that back, but there we go. Right, let's go gear down. Flaps to 15. Arm reduced MP. Condition levers to max. Staying at 850. And that's us. Setting the torque now. Somewhere there. He wasn't expecting someone from the south indeed. Stabilising nicely. Static air temperature +6. Oh dear, we need the props on, certainly. We're going to open those. We'll only put on the airframe mode if we actually build up some ice. Landing checks then. Landing gear down and 3 greens. Flaps 15 are set and indicating. Condition levers max 1020. Bleed air 1 and 2 are on. They probably should have been a norm. That would explain the pressurization concerns I was talking about earlier. But anyway, they're at min again. And flight attendants notified. Next is after landing. I'm going to try the after landing flow without having to check anything, but we shall see.
Tower, good afternoon. TP of November 612.
25%. So 25% in this flap, and then it'll be about 35 in the other.
November 61 to India November Orlando
I don't want to get right back to the app because this happens and you just get unstuck.
November 61 to India November, no flight plan on file.
I can have the DEA search on a rifle. Right, here we go. So what a shame. Look at that scenery. We've missed all of it. We've got real scenery for once in X-Plane. We'll have to fly here again. Let's go for... Are we in trim? Might need a little bit of trim. A little bit of left rudder trim. There we go. Our max is something sensible. Autopilot off. Good thing about the Dash is that the... oh no, needs a bit of right trim. The changing power doesn't change your trim too much because there's not any pitch power couple like a 7.3 or an underslung jet where the engines are under the wings. So that does help. But it's got huge torque issues instead.
Orlando Tower, November 612. It may help if I press the button with it.
November 61 to India November Orlando Tower. Yeah, buttons do get in the way.
Fast.
Clearance up to class number 1. Expect PDC.
Bring the power back a little bit.
40, 30, 20, 10.
There we go. Seemed fine. Nose down first, then disc. And it still does that overspeed.
November 61 to India November.
Still does the overspeed, but there we go. We're going to make this first exit, no trouble.
Aircraft only. Are you able to pokey to arrival?
No brakes required. Tiny little brakes here, and we'll get ourselves off the runway. I saw it said 250. Don't believe that for a second.
Out in chat. Just let me know if you're able
It
to
just
accept that
doesn't.
route.
It just doesn't let you. If you don't float in with this add-on, not this add-on with the overlay, it just comes up with those VSs. I think it's averaged over like the last seconds of flight. But there we go, off the runway. We'll definitely, of course, look at the replay. Get rid of that prop stuff. Get the landing lights off. Taxi light on. And vacated. Flight taxi to taxi. I'm guessing up and north and around. That's my guess. I imagine Tower's going to tell us. Take a bridge. Let's do it. Leave that up there. Right, well, welcome to Orlando. I hope everyone's got their Disneyland tickets ready. Oh, before we go off the side there. Because, yeah, Disneyland Universal Studios. Yeah, the exterior model is amazing. Yes, yes, Spencer. It's remarkable. Very, very well done, this one. Right, can we run the after landing flow? So, main bus tie to tie. Anti-ice is all off. Pitot heat's off. I assume windshield heat can go off. Lights are off, taxi light on. Let's put that to red.
November 612. Yeah, we should be good.
Bleeds are on a min. as
Alright,
they
November
were.
612 India November. I'll amend your flight plan and send you a PDC
Oh,
shortly.
that seems fine. Control lock can go on. Flaps are at 0. We're taking this first left here. ABS, sorry, no, the sim isn't stuttering, it's just the streaming software. Yeah, I do apologise about that. Your damper can go off. TCAS to standby. Should we just keep going? He's not said anything. I like the design of this airport, really unique sort of shape. I have been to it as a passenger, and the interior did feel a bit dated. Ah yes, fuel pumps off. Do we turn these off now as well, or is that on for the taxi? Seems like you might want them on for the taxi. Spencer agrees. So control lock on, transponder standby, radar standby, flap 0, tank pumps off. Thanks to the sensor for that one. Yaw damper off. Flight taxi to taxi, anti-collision red, lights as required, pitot static off, windshield heat off, window heat off, ice protection off, bus tie. We're doing well. APU not required yet, and bleed 1 and 2 we're going to use a min. We've done it. We got through a checklist. We've done everything as we wanted. Only thanks to Spencer for reminding me about the fuel tanks though. Right, across here, Lima, Kilo. Controller really doesn't seem too worried about us today. Ah, yeah, so single engine taxi. Laurie says he seems more busy with the clearances, but you should probably let him know at the very least when you've held short the other runway. Yeah, I won't cross the runway. I'll be fair there. Yeah, let's do single engine taxi. So, which engine are we supposed to use, Spencer? I've totally forgotten. Which engine should I shut down? I don't think we had to do anything clever. The Airbus we have to run the yellow pump, but I don't think it matters. When you do single engine taxi with engine 2 off and you turn off the hydraulics. yeah, that would be a bad day. So number 2 gets turned off, but you've got to leave the hydraulics on for it to work. That would make sense. Okay. So we got number 2 in disc. Laurie says, if I was your last park airside 2. Yeah, let's do that. Frontier Flight 303. We're approaching Lima and requesting park airside 2.
Frontier Flight 303, taxi via Juliet, Lima, Kilo, hold short 35 left.
Juliet, Lima, Kilo to hold short 35 left. Frontier Flight 303. Juliet, Lima, Kilo, hold short. Yeah, right, so that's in disc. Then we're going to bring the condition lever to start feather. Then it's got to sit there for 30 seconds in start feather. I remember that. Takes a fair bit of power for engine 1 at the moment. Spencer says use the PTU to supply hydraulic to the second system. There you go. Ah yes, because the PTU in this airplane only runs in one direction. In the Airbus it can do either. But in this, the PTU, is that asymmetric thrust? It can only run the number 2, hence why you shut off number 2. Okay, that's there. Time for fuel off.
Landing tower November 612 PDC received green tag.
We can also, I think if I do that, it'll clear out the flight directors. There we go. We're going to hold short up here. Passengers always like seeing a stopped engine as you especially when you taxi out to the runway like this. That would be common to get calls from the cabin. The passenger not happy. So all the cautions are reasonable, just the number 2 systems, and there you go. Starts giving you all these extra warnings.
November 61 to India November, runway 36 left, taxi via Alpha Bravo 10.
Alpha Bravo 10 and 36 left.
He said I was short of the runway. It's not low vis, so we don't need to stop at this one. That's the Cat 2
Flight
point.
303, cross runway 35 left at Kilo, straight ahead to the ramp. Have a good night.
Cross 35, left to Kilo, straight ahead to ramp. Thanks very much, Frontier Flight 303, you too. Good. Right, almost there then. It's quite a long taxi in, isn't it, from that runway? Let's get some power going. That's flight idle and it's barely moving. Let's get the APU up and running before I forget. So in the Airbus, originally when we were doing single engine, we had to start the APU to give all the fire protection, but now they're pretty much all modified. And all the Neos allow you to taxi without it. Yeah, Spencer says, worst thing that could happen is engine fail number 2 and a loss of hydraulic 1. Yeah, that would be bad news. Busy airport, plenty of traffic here.
What entry taxiway are you at?
I suppose it is daytime here.
Stand by, we'll check right now.
Oh, getting a few frame drops here.
Spirit Wings 256, once you do get to an entry taxiway, contact ground 121.8.
I think what we'll do,
Right, you're going to ground then, Spirit Road 256,
pick a closest stand that we feel like. Thanks, Dougal. Good to see you. I hope you're doing well. No worries at all.
It's our pilot. Come off with you.
We'll just park straight in here.
Yeah, I'll go over to ground. I just realized ground came on.
Taxi light off.
I'll come off with you, thanks.
No slides to arm or disarm in this. Oh dear. Thank you very much to Austin's Food. Austin's vegan food. Very
November,
good.
contact ground 121.8.
Now we're getting the intermediate marker for the RS there. Of course, replay coming soon. How are we doing on the line? Oh, almost. Good. Parking brakes set. AP generator on. Let's bring it back to start feather. 30 seconds there. That's going to get annoying. Let's tune a different RS. Oh, it's just getting the marker signal. Good. So text lights off. Let's see if we can do this one without looking. What else do I need to do? Turn off the hydraulics. I think that's it. Fuel off. Seatbelts off. Tax light off. Emergency brake on. Standby PG control norm. Power levers to disc. Start feather. Passenger signs. Nozzle steering. There it is. Nozzle steering off. Radar off. Anti-skid. Oh, well, that's for shutting down then. Min and off. Oh, yeah. Min and off. There we go. APU, GPU, emergency lights, and that's, yeah, if you can close the whole airplane down. You wouldn't turn off the emergency lights at this point if you've still got passengers on board, but there we go. Right. Welcome to... Oh, beacon. The one thing missing. I think it will automatically open up the doors. I'm not sure, though. But yeah, welcome to Orlando. Thank you all for joining us on the flight. I hope you've enjoyed it. I'm now going to disconnect from VATSIM. We'll go look at the replay. I'm going to go and try and redeem myself. There's a chocks put in place. Excellent. Ah, just great. Such a joy, this plane. Such a good add-on. So yeah, let's go have a look. Oh, bit far. Right. Definitely running. I thought we were running a bit fast at this point. Do we have the instruments? Yeah, we were a bit fast with a pitch about 2.5.
20.
And it's quite. I did quite an aggressive flare for a Dash 8, all the way up to 5 degrees. That was really all we could do. Could have added a bit of power, but it didn't seem necessary given we had extra speed. Oh, a bit wonky. And there we go. I don't think that would have been too bad. Certainly not the smoothest Dash 8 landing ever. But there we go. Yeah. I don't buy that 238. Torque is a tad high. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we already had extra power and extra speed. Well, classic pilot line would be to blame this thing. I think it's fine. But yeah, definitely didn't float as... Well, the flare wasn't as effective as I'd hoped. And you can see, 5 degrees of pitch on landing. You don't have any more room. And if you had a gust or something that pushes the nose up or anything silly, then that could become a problem for you very quickly. Right. Look at that. Look at that model. It's just amazing. Good. What I will do, as we have X-Plane, this is a joy of a view. We're going to do this. Probably don't need to be too far along the runway because we were so so early on the touchdown. Flare, 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 flare. Hold it, hold it. Just hoping it worked out. I do love that livery. Really smart. Sorry about the frame rate. I don't know what to do at this point. I've tried so many things and I can't get the CPU. I think it's a CPU issue. I think. Right, let's rewind.
500.
Outro music is being queued up. I'm going to think about... well, we don't want to go any further back than that. So, I think we'll go for this sort of wing view. And I'm going to say thank you all for coming along. I hope you've enjoyed the flights. I certainly have. And there'll be plenty more videos coming. We've got, I think I said last time, there's another challenging approach on the way. Thanks, Spencer, for the follow. And for helping us out today. But yeah, we've... got more videos to come, more live streams in all these different airplanes. We will go back into the Airbus soon, I promise. And thanks for joining us on this Sunday afternoon stream. We'll see you again soon. Thanks to the moderators for looking after us all. Really appreciate it. Thanks to those of you watching along and, of course, chatting along as well. And thanks to those who very kindly donated. It's all very, very much appreciated. And I'm going to say goodbye. Enjoy your day. Enjoy your evening. And we'll see you again in another video or live stream soon. Bye-bye.